Hi everybody, welcome to You Can Do Math. Today we are going to solve quadratics by the famous quadratic formula. You can see that I'm excited, right? I'm excited. All right, let's get started. All right guys, welcome to the quadratic formula. It is called the quadratic formula because you can use it to solve quadratics, which is super cool. And sometimes we can't factor, and that's what we've been doing for a really long time in class. Well, in class online, is that we've been factoring to solve for a quadratic. And so not every quadratic is factorable. And so when that's the case, then you can use the quadratic formula. Or maybe you're getting stuck by finding the two factors that multiply and then add and subtract to get that middle term. Then you can use the quadratic formula on any quadratic equation that you want to help you solve for your x. And so I want to go over the quadratic formula with you, the negative b. It's plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, which you should recognize that. That's the discriminant, right? And then all over 2 times a. And so those variables, the a, b, and the c, you're going to get them from your quadratic equation. So I wrote it down here in blue. And then if you notice the a, the number in front of the x squared, is where you're going to plug that number into your equation. And then b is the number, the middle term that's in front of just your x. And so that's going to go here. And then c just has one place, and it is the kind of the last part of the discriminant. And so then you can calculate it, and then it will give you your answers for your quadratic. All right, so let's try a problem. Let's see. Let's do. All right, let's do 5x squared plus 4x minus 33 equals 0. I hope that you're writing this down with me. It's really good to see it, hear it, and write it at the same time. That's going to help your learning go to your long-term memory. If you're just watching this video, it's going to be in your short-term memory, stored. So I want you to be doing multiple things when you're learning math. I want you to see it. I want you to write it down. It's really important to do all of those multiple things. Okay. So here we go. I like to represent what a is. So a is going to be just the 5, right? It's the number in front of x squared. And then b is our positive 4. Remember, we include the sign that's in front. And then c is our negative 33. All right, so we're going to plug all of those into the formula. And I'll write it off to the side here just as a reference. So we have negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, I just get so happy just because I love the quadratic formula. All right, so what's really important, which is a common error, is just kind of forgetting that negative in the very beginning in front of that b. So always the quadratic formula starts with that negative. And then b is a 4 plus or minus the square root of 4 times, 4 squared, sorry, it's b squared, 4 squared, minus 4 times 5 times c is negative 33. And that is all over 2 times a is 5. So that's going to be your step number 1. Your step number 1 is you're going to take your a, b, and c and plug it into the formula. Now, this is just how I like to solve it. This is just kind of my strategy and how I tackle the next step after you plug everything in, is I will put all of this in the calculator. So I would start off with the square root, and then I type in that discriminant all the way, put the square root, and then get one answer. And so I want you to practice doing that. And if you did it correctly, then it will give you 26. Like in your calculator, if you typed in square root and then 4 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 33 and hit enter, you should get 26. Or yeah, you will get 26. Now, please make sure in your calculator that you're using the negative sign if it's a negative, and you're using the subtraction sign if it's a subtraction sign. And so that's really important too. And if you are not getting 26 when you type that in the calculator, if you're getting some kind of a weird error sign, I'm not there in classroom to help you and kind of figure it out. So please email me, take a picture of it and send it to me, and we'll work on that together. Okay, so then you're going to get -4 plus or minus, and then I said that's going to give you 26 all over 5 times 2, which is 10. And so from that step next, I like to break it up into 2 equations right away. And the 2 equations is because you have a plus and a minus. So it's going to be -4 plus 26, and then it will be -4 minus 26. And don't forget, they're both over 10. So let me show you what I mean on how I write that. I'll do a -4 plus 26 over 10. And it's a -4 minus 26 over 10. So you have to represent both potential or possible answers there. Okay, so now we have -4 plus 26, so that's going to give us 22 over 10. And then over here, this is going to give us 30 over 10. 22 divided by 10 is 2.2. And -30 divided by 10 is -3. And those are the 2 answers. Those are the solution to your quadratic, and that is where on the x-axis when you're graphing this quadratic, it's going to go through the -3 and 2.2. All right, sweet. How was that? Was that okay? I always ask these questions. I know you can't answer me, but I just miss it. Alrighty, so let's do another example together, and then the third example for today is on your own. All right, so let's do x squared. Subtract 11x minus 10 equals 0. All right, so our whole goal is we would like to solve for x. We want to get x by itself. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use the quadratic formula, but first we're going to write out everything. What is my a? My a is 1. If there's no number in front of the x squared, then it is 1. Your b is -11. Very important to include the negative sign. And then c is -10. Okay, so when your b is negative, it's just really important to remember how to type that into your calculator, and please don't forget that negative. It's a negative error that comes up all the time, and you just got to be very careful with it. Okay, so in the quadratic formula, it is the negative first, -b, but our b is -11. All right, plus or minus the square root of b squared, and b is -11. So I'm going to put -11 in parentheses. Very important, because that tells the reader that that -11 is being squared. It's -11 times -11. And also, if you're typing it in your calculator, -11 times -11, your calculator will not say that that's a positive 121 unless you put the parentheses around the -11. All right, -4, always 4, right? Times a is 1, times c is -10, and that is all over 2 times a, which is 2 times 1. All right, so step number 1, plug everything in. Step number 2, what I like to do is I just type all of this into the calculator. Now, when you type all of that into the calculator, this time it gives a negative, or not negative, a decimal, sorry. And that's okay. That's totally okay. So let's see. So we have a +11 plus or minus. Positive because you have 2 negatives. Plus or minus, and then all of that in the calculator, if you did it correctly, is going to give you 12.689 all over 2, because it's 2 times 1. All right, so now we're going to break that up into 2 separate equations. So 2 separate equations is going to be the 11 plus the 12.689 divided by 2, and then the 11 subtract the 12.689 divided by 2. Now, if you're a student that likes to just type everything into the calculator, please be very careful. Order of operations is working here. So in this numerator, when you type in 11 plus the 12.689, hit enter, then divide by 2. I just want you to get into that habit of hitting enter. Sometimes I'll notice in class that students are throwing everything inside of a calculator and it's not giving them the right answer. So hit enter right here, just good practice. And then, so you have 11 plus 12.689, which is, and I'll just do that, it's going to be 23.689 divided by 2. And then over here, it's going to give us a negative 1.689 divided by 2. We're just adding and subtracting the numerator. And then a final answer is 11.844. And then the negative 1.689 divided by 2 is going to give us a negative 0.845. And those are the two solutions. See how they're kind of messy? This is not factorable. This situation we cannot factor. It doesn't give us nice numbers, and so the quadratic formula is needed to solve. Okay, so let's do the third example and final example for today's lesson. And I want to give you your own to try. And so let's do 2x squared minus x minus 36 equals 0. Don't forget the b is negative, the c is negative, and go ahead and plug those in. All right, so try this out and then press play when you're ready. All right, guys, let's see how you did. So I'm going to go ahead and say that a is 2, that b is a negative 1, and that c is a negative 36. So now when I plug that into the quadratic formula, I have negative b, which is negative 1, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is negative 1 squared, minus 4 times 2 times negative 36, all over 2 times a is 2. So just pause for a minute. Look at your paper, look at the screen. Did you plug everything in correctly? Because that's step number 1, is plugging in our variables, 4 variables. And so if you didn't, I'd like slow, maybe push stop on this video and fix it. And if you're good to go, we'll keep going. All right, so then step number 2 is everything here plug into your calculator, including the square root sign. And so when you do that, you get exactly 17 if you did it correct. So right here you have a negative times negative, which is a positive 1. So what's going to happen is that's going to be 1 plus or minus 17 divided by 4, because the denominator is 2 times 2, which is 4. All right, did you do good there? How'd that work? Okay. Maybe. All right, no problem. I mean, we're going to practice this a lot. This is really important for you to know the quadratic formula. And honestly, if we were in class, we would spend days on this, 2, 3, 4 days, just so you got really comfortable. And even though this is one video and only a couple problems, practice does make perfect. It's really hard to get something on the first try, and that's okay. All right, let's keep going. So from here, I'm going to break it down into two separate equations. I have 1 plus the 17 over 4 and 1 subtract the 17 minus 4. All right, very good. So then now I have, what is this? This is 16 over 4, which is a positive 4. And then, oh no, that's 18. Oh my goodness, Sasha. I feel like I always do that. I look at this one is negative 16 over 4, which is negative 4. I always do that. My eyes look at something, and then I go to write something, and I'm like, oh, why do I do that? Okay, and then, because I'm human, that's why. But anyways, all right, so 17 plus 1 is 18. 18 over 4. If you divide 18 divided by 4, you get 4.5. And those are our two solutions, -4 and 4.5. All right, how did you do? Did you get those? I mean, it's okay if you didn't. What's more important is that you find your mistake and fix it, right? And then once you see, oh no, this is where I messed up, oh, this is how you do it, that's how your brain learns. Your brain does not learn by just copying everything that I do down. It's by getting messy and doing a mistake and then finding your mistake and then learning from it. That's what learning is. So, okay, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like my video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and until next time, I'll see you guys. Bye.